The airport was busy. People walked fast, rolling suitcases behind them. Announcements filled the air. Inside the VIP lounge, soft music played. Expensive chairs, free snacks, and rich people were everywhere. A girl named Alina sat on a sofa with her best friend. Alina was dressed in a stylish jacket, holding the latest phone in her hand. She liked to watch people and talk about them. That day, someone caught her attention. A boy, maybe around 16 or 17, walked into the VIP lounge. He wore a simple shirt and faded jeans. His shoes were dusty. His hair was not styled like the others. He looked calm and quiet, holding a small backpack. Alina raised her eyebrows. "Who let him in here?" She whispered to her friend. "He looks like he took the wrong door." Her friend giggled. "Maybe he came here to steal snacks." Alina laughed. "He's totally out of place. Look at those clothes." The boy sat alone in a corner. He didn't look around. He didn't take any snacks. He just sat, calm and peaceful, looking out the window. Alina kept watching him. She didn't understand why he was there. VIP lounges were for important people. Businessmen, rich families, celebrities, not boys who looked like they had just walked out of a school playground. "I think he's pretending," Alina said. "Soon someone will ask him to leave." But no one said anything. In fact, something very strange happened. A man in a suit, wearing the airline's badge, walked into the lounge. He looked like a senior staff member. He saw the boy sitting in the corner and walked straight toward him. Alina sat up, excited. "Finally," she whispered. "They're going to throw him out." But what happened next made her freeze. The staff member stopped in front of the boy, stood straight, and gave him a respectful salute. "Good afternoon, sir," the man said with a smile. The boy nodded quietly. "Good afternoon." The staff member leaned closer and spoke in a low voice. "Everything is ready. We will board you first, as always." The boy gave a small nod again. Alina blinked. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. What did he just say?" she asked her friend. "I think he just called that boy sir," her friend said, confused. Alina looked again. The staff member walked away quickly. The boy remained calm, still sitting in the same quiet way. He didn't act proud. He didn't even look around to see who was watching. Alina was now curious and nervous. Who was this boy? Why did the staff salute him? Why did they call him sir? She whispered to her friend, "What if he's not poor? What if he's someone important?" Her friend shrugged. "But look at him." Alina couldn't stop thinking. Something didn't feel right. No ordinary person gets saluted in a VIP lounge. Not even some rich people. She watched the boy closely. He didn't eat anything, didn't talk to anyone. He just sat, thinking, like he was used to being alone. Alina's thoughts raced. Is he famous? A prince? The owner's son? A young pilot? She wanted to ask him, but she felt shy now. She had made fun of him just minutes ago. What if he had heard? "What should we do?" she whispered. Her friend said, "Let's just wait and watch. Maybe someone else will talk to him." But Alina couldn't wait. Her mind was full of questions. She stood up slowly and walked a little closer to his seat, pretending to check her phone. She hoped to hear something, or maybe see something in his bag. But the boy said nothing. He didn't even look at her. Suddenly, another airline staff member walked in. This time, it was a woman in a blue uniform. She also walked to the boy and smiled. "Sir, your private car is ready. Would you like to go now?" The boy stood up and nodded. "Yes, thank you." The woman bowed her head slightly and led him out. Alina froze again. "A private car," she whispered. The boy walked out slowly, still calm, with both staff members following behind. Alina watched him leave, her heart racing. She sat back down, confused and surprised. "Who is he?" she whispered again. Her friend said, "I think we just made a big mistake." Suspense filled the air. Alina's mind was spinning with questions. Who was that boy in old clothes? Why did airline staff treat him like a VIP? Or even more than that? She didn't know the answer yet. But soon, she would find out something that would change everything. Alina could not stop thinking about the boy. The way the airline staff had treated him still played again and again in her mind. First, the man in the suit saluted him. Then the woman in uniform called a private car for him. And all this for a boy in old clothes. Alina felt something strange in her chest. Maybe guilt, maybe curiosity. She had judged him so fast. She had laughed at him. But now she wasn't laughing anymore. She stood up and looked through the glass door, trying to catch one last glimpse of the boy. But he was gone. Her friend pulled her arm. "Forget it. He's gone now." But Alina shook her head. "No, I need to know who he is." She left the lounge and walked into the airport hallway. She looked around. People rushed here and there, but the boy was nowhere in sight. Suddenly, she noticed an old cleaner wiping the floor nearby. The man had a kind face, with white hair and tired eyes. He had probably worked at the airport for many years. Alina walked up to him. "Excuse me, uncle," she said politely. "There was a boy here just now. He wore simple clothes. The staff treated him with respect. Do you know who he is?" The old man looked up and gave a small smile. "Oh, him," he said. "Yes, I know him. He comes here often." Alina leaned forward. "Really? But who is he?" The old man stopped wiping the floor. He looked at her with wise eyes. "You wouldn't believe me even if I told you," he said. "People see his clothes and think he's a nobody, but he's someone very important." Alina's eyes grew wide. "Tell me, please." The man shook his head. "That boy is close to the top. Very close." "What do you mean?" she asked. The old man leaned in and whispered, "He is the son of the man who owns this entire airline." Alina gasped. "What?" "Yes," the old man said. "The chairman himself. But the boy doesn't act like a rich man's son. He comes alone. No bodyguards. No big show. Just quiet and kind. He talks to us workers with respect. Never shouts. Never brags." Alina stood in silence. The cleaner smiled and went back to his work. Alina's thoughts raced again. The chairman's son. But he looked so simple, so normal. How can that be true? She had to see for herself. So she made a bold choice. "I'm going to follow him," she said to her friend. "What? Are you crazy? I need to know if this is true." She quietly slipped past the lounge again and walked through the airport. She looked left and right, then finally saw him in the distance. The boy was walking calmly with a staff member beside him, heading toward a private section, marked "Authorized Personnel Only." Alina slowed down, hiding behind a wall. She watched carefully. The staff opened the gate for the boy. No ID check. No delay. The boy nodded and walked inside. Before the gate closed, Alina saw something strange. The boy smiled at the workers and waved. They all stood up and greeted him warmly. Some even said, "Sir." Her heart skipped a beat. So it's true, she thought. He really is someone important. She took out her phone and searched the airline's website. She found a page about the chairman. His name was Mr. Faris Khan. She scrolled further and saw a small photo. Mr. Faris standing with a young boy. Her eyes went wide. "That's him," she whispered. "The same boy from the lounge." The truth hit her hard. She had mocked the chairman's son, a boy who was more powerful than anyone else in that building. She stepped back, her legs feeling weak. Her friend caught up to her, out of breath. "You were right," her friend said. "He's someone important, isn't he?" Alina nodded slowly. "Yes, and I feel ashamed." She sat down on a nearby bench. "I judged him by his clothes. I laughed at him. But he said nothing. He just stayed calm." Her friend said nothing. Alina whispered, "He had every reason to show off." But he didn't. He acted so simple, so peaceful. For the first time, Alina felt truly small. Not because she had less money, but because her heart had been quick to judge. She had looked at someone and only seen the outside. And now she knew the truth. The boy in old clothes was not out of place. She was. Alina sat on the airport bench, still feeling shocked. The boy she laughed at, the one in old clothes, was the son of the airline's chairman. She had made fun of him, thinking he was poor and out of place. But now she realized she was the one who had behaved badly. "I need to apologize," she said softly. Her friend looked at her. "Are you serious?" "Yes," Alina said. "I judged him. I need to say sorry." She stood up and looked toward the area where the boy had entered. A large sign above the gate read, "Authorized personnel only." Regular passengers were not allowed beyond that point. But Alina's curiosity was stronger than the rules. She took a deep breath and began to walk toward the gate. "Hey, where are you going?" her friend whispered loudly. "I just want to see where he went." A few airport staff were standing near the gate. Alina quickly acted like she was looking for someone. She stood near a vending machine, pretending to check her phone. But her eyes stayed on the gate. A minute later, a staff member opened the gate to let a pilot through. In that moment, the gate stayed open for a few extra seconds. Alina saw something on the other side. It was a hallway, not a normal one. It was clean, quiet, and filled with airline staff. At the end of the hall, she saw the boy walking with a man in a black suit. She gasped. "That's him," she whispered. "But who's the man with him?" She watched closely. The man walked beside the boy and held a file. They were talking like equals. The boy nodded calmly and said something that made the man smile and take notes. Alina could only hear a few words. "Yes, but the Dubai team needs that update today. I'll let my father know if they don't respond." She froze. He's not just the chairman's son. He's actually helping run the business. The boy disappeared into a side office. The door closed behind him. But Alina saw a nameplate outside the room. It read, "Executive Access, Operations Planning." She couldn't believe it. He wasn't just a quiet boy in simple clothes. He was trusted with real decisions in a billion-dollar airline. Suddenly, a woman staff member noticed Alina standing too close to the gate. "Miss, can I help you?" she asked politely. Alina stepped back. "Oh, sorry. I was just, looking for my father. He's a pilot." The woman nodded but looked unsure. Alina walked away quickly, her heart pounding. She returned to her friend, who had been waiting nervously. "What happened?" her friend asked. Alina sat down and whispered, "He's not just rich. He's powerful. And he's humble too. He talks to the staff with respect. He doesn't act like he's better than them." Her friend was silent. Alina felt something deep in her heart. "People like me," she said slowly, "wear expensive clothes, hold the latest phones, sit in VIP lounges, and still feel the need to mock someone. But that boy," she continued, "had everything, but never showed it off. He didn't laugh at anyone. He didn't get angry when I insulted him. He just stayed kind." Her voice became quiet. "That's real class." She sat still for a moment, thinking. She remembered every detail. His calm face, his simple clothes, the way he nodded at the staff, and how they all respected him without fear. Suddenly, a thought hit her. What if he heard me laughing at him in the lounge? Her heart sank. What if he knew I was the one who called him out of place? She stood up again. "I'm going to apologize." Her friend grabbed her arm. "Wait. Are you sure? What if he gets angry? What if he tells his father?" Alina shook her head. "Let him. I deserve it. But I need to say sorry." She walked slowly back toward the restricted area, unsure of what to do next. Just then, she saw the boy again. He was walking out of the side door, this time alone. His bag was still on his back. He walked like a normal teenager. But now, Alina knew he wasn't just any teenager. She took a deep breath and walked toward him. Her hands were shaking. She stopped a few steps away from him. The boy looked up and recognized her. For a second, his face showed no emotion. Then he smiled. It was a small, gentle smile. "Hi," Alina said, her voice soft. I just wanted to say I'm sorry." The boy looked at her quietly. "I made fun of you earlier," she continued. "I judged you by your clothes. I said you didn't belong here." He nodded slowly but said nothing. "I was wrong," she said. "And I'm really, really sorry." The boy smiled again, this time wider. "It's okay," he said calmly. "Most people do." Alina blinked. "You heard me." He nodded. "Yes, but I'm used to it." Her eyes filled with shame. "You didn't even say anything back." He shrugged. "What would I say? You didn't know me." She looked down. "Still, you were kind, and I was rude." The boy looked at her kindly. "My father says something," he said. "He says, people who show off their money are often poor in their hearts." Alina looked up. "You're not poor," she said quietly. "Not in any way." He smiled again. Then something happened that Alina never expected. "Would you like to see how this airline works from the inside?" he asked. She looked at him, surprised. "Really?" He nodded. "Come, I'll show you." Alina could not believe what she just heard. The boy she once called out of place had now invited her to see the airline from the inside. Not as a punishment, not to show off, but as a kind gesture. She looked into his calm, honest eyes and nodded slowly. "Yes, I'd like that." The boy turned and began walking. Alina followed him silently. They entered the same executive access hallway she had seen earlier. But this time, she walked in with him, not hiding, not pretending. A few staff members noticed, but no one stopped them. Some even smiled and nodded at the boy. He led her to a small but clean office. There was no gold nameplate, no fancy desk. Just a few chairs, a laptop, and a whiteboard filled with notes and flight numbers. "This is where I help out," the boy said. "Operations planning. My dad lets me learn." Alina looked around. "So you actually work here?" He nodded. "Part-time. I learn by watching and helping." "But you're just a teenager," she said. "I'm 17, he replied. "And I've been coming here since I was 10. Alina sat down slowly. Everything she thought she knew about him was changing. The boy offered her water and then sat across from her. "My name is Zayan," he said. "What's yours?" "Alina," she replied quietly. Zayan smiled. "Nice to meet you, Alina. For real this time." She felt a strange warmth in his words. No pride, no ego, just kindness. She looked around the room again. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Sure. Why do you wear those clothes? I mean, you're the chairman's son. You can wear anything." Zayan looked down at his simple shirt and smiled. "I wear what I'm comfortable in," he said. "My dad says if your work is strong, your clothes don't need to speak for you." Alina was silent. Zayan leaned back and looked at the whiteboard. "My father started this airline with one small plane. He used to sleep in the office and skip meals to save money." He paused, then continued. "I saw him build everything with honesty. He never cared about big cars or designer suits. He taught me the same." Alina's eyes softened. "You're not like the other rich kids I've met," she said. Zayan smiled. "I know. Most of them care about parties and attention. But I care about something else." "What?" He looked at her quietly. "Making sure no one ever feels small, just because they have less." Those words hit Alina deep inside. She remembered how she had laughed at him in the lounge. She remembered how easy it was to feel big when someone else looked small. She looked down, ashamed again. "I was wrong about you," she whispered. Zayn shook his head gently. You were curious. That's okay. You came to say sorry. That means a lot. There was a pause. Then Alina asked, but don't you ever want to show people who you are? Like if someone insults you? Zayn gave a soft laugh. What's the point? If I have to prove my worth every time someone doubts me, I'll be busy my whole life. Alina looked at him with respect. You're really different. He nodded. Maybe. Or maybe I've just seen what real power looks like. And it's not loud. There was silence for a moment. Then Zayn stood up. Come, I'll show you something. He took her to a large glass window that looked over a private hangar. Inside were planes getting ready for flight. Engineers worked below, pilots walked by, and ground staff moved fast. Zayn pointed to one of the planes. That was the first aircraft my dad bought. It's still flying, still strong. Alina watched the scene with new eyes. She used to think power meant money, luxury, and fame. But now she saw something else. Power was quiet strength. It was kindness when you had the upper hand. It was staying humble when you could easily act proud. Zayn turned to her. You don't need to feel bad anymore, he said gently. What matters is what you do next. Alina nodded slowly. I want to be better. He smiled. That's the start of something good. They stood together in silence, watching the world move below them. Not as strangers anymore, but as people who understood something deeper about life. Alina stood beside Zayn at the glass window, watching the planes and workers below. She felt quiet inside. Not sad, just thoughtful. This boy, who she had once laughed at, had changed something inside her. He was rich, but not proud. Powerful, but not loud. Young, but full of wisdom. She turned to him and said softly, Zayn, you're lucky. You have everything. Zayn didn't reply right away. Instead, he looked at the ground for a few seconds. His smile faded. His face grew serious. Alina noticed the change. What's wrong? She asked gently. Zayn let out a quiet breath. Everyone says that, he said, that I have everything. But they don't know. He stopped. Alina stepped closer. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to. But Zayn looked up at her. His eyes were not angry. They were sad. No, it's okay, he said. I think I want to tell someone. He walked over to the small couch in the corner of the office and sat down. Alina followed and sat beside him. Zayn stared at his hands for a moment, then began to speak. When I was 12, I lost my mom. Alina's heart dropped. She died in a car accident. Zayn continued. She was on her way to pick me up from school. A truck ran a red light. He stopped to breathe. I waited for her for 2 hours that day. I thought maybe she got stuck in traffic. I didn't know she was already gone. Alina's eyes filled with tears. She didn't know what to say. Zayn gave a small broken smile. Everyone says I'm strong, that I don't cry, but they don't know. I cry at night when no one can see. Alina whispered, I'm so sorry, Zayn. He nodded. It's okay. I miss her every day. She used to call me her little light. She said I brought joy wherever I went. He looked away toward the window again. But after she died, I stopped smiling for a long time. Alina gently asked, how did you find strength again? Zayn thought for a moment. My dad, he said. He was broken too, but he still got up every day and went to work. He didn't let the pain destroy him. He used to say, we honor the people we love by living well. Alina's eyes filled again. Zayn smiled a little. That's why I help here. Not just because it's my father's company, but because it helps me feel close to her. She loved airplanes. She wanted to be a pilot when she was young. Alina wiped a tear from her cheek. I had no idea you carried so much inside. He nodded slowly. Most people don't. They just see my last name. They don't ask about my pain. They think money means no sadness. There was a heavy silence. Then Zayn looked at Alina and asked, "Can I tell you something else?" She nodded. "Even when you laughed at me in the lounge, I didn't get angry. Do you know why?" Alina shook her head. "Because you reminded me of how I used to be," he said softly, "before I lost her." She was confused. "Me?" "Yes. Quick to judge. Always trying to prove something. Always loud in a world that just needs quiet kindness." Alina looked down. His words were gentle, not rude, but they went straight to her heart. "I didn't know I was like that," she whispered. Zayn smiled kindly. "Now you do. And that's the first step to changing." She looked up at him again. For a moment, they didn't need to speak. Because now she saw the full picture. Zayn, the chairman's son. Zayn, the quiet helper in the airline office. Zayn, the boy who lost his mother. Zayn, the boy who chose kindness over ego. Alina finally said, "Thank you for telling me. I won't forget it." Zayn stood up and looked at his watch. "I have to go soon," he said. "My dad's calling me to join a meeting." But he looked at her and added, "I'm glad you stayed." She smiled softly. "Me too." Zayn walked toward the door, then turned. "Alina, I hope you remember something." "What?" "No matter how much money you have, or how many followers, or how perfect life looks, everyone is fighting something." Alina nodded slowly. Zayn smiled one last time. "Kindness costs nothing, but it means everything." Then he walked out of the room. Alina stood alone for a moment, looking around the simple office. She came in thinking she had it all figured out. But she was leaving with a heart that was forever changed. After Zayn left the office, Alina sat alone. She didn't check her phone. She didn't scroll through pictures or take selfies like she usually did. Instead, she sat still and thought deeply. In one short hour, everything inside her had changed. Zayn had opened a door, not just to his world, but to his heart. He had shown her pain, truth, strength, and kindness. She remembered his words clearly. Kindness costs nothing, but it means everything. Alina stood up and looked around the office one last time. It was simple, but it felt powerful because it belonged to someone who truly cared. Then she left the room and walked back toward the main airport lounge. But this time, she didn't walk with pride or noise. She walked with thought. When she returned to the VIP lounge, her friend was still there, sipping juice and scrolling on her phone. "There you are," her friend said. "Where did you disappear to?" Alina sat down, looking different. Quieter. Softer. "I went to speak to him," she replied. Her friend raised her eyebrows. "The poor guy. Why?" Alina looked at her carefully and said, "He's not poor. And he's not out of place. He's more real than anyone here." Her friend laughed. "Wait, what? You were making fun of him just an hour ago." "I was wrong," Alina said calmly. "And now I know better." Her friend looked confused. "Are you okay?" "No," Alina said. "I wasn't okay before. But now, I'm learning." She pulled out her phone and opened her social media app. She had thousands of followers. She was known for fashion, makeup, airport selfies, and shopping hauls. But now she looked at the screen differently. Instead of posting a filtered photo, she wrote a short message. "Today, I met someone who reminded me what truly matters. Not money, not clothes, just kindness. A kind heart makes a person rich. Be kind to people, even if they look different, because everyone is fighting a battle you can't see." Then she added a photo, not of herself, but of the airport window she stood by earlier, where she and Zayn had looked down at the planes. She hit post. Her friend stared at her. "Are you serious right now?" Alina smiled. "Yes. For the first time, I am." Then she did something even bigger. She got up, walked to the front desk of the lounge, and asked the staff a question. "Hi, Is there a way I can leave the VIP lounge and sit in the regular waiting area? The lady looked surprised. You want to give up your VIP seat? Yes, Alina said. I'd like to sit with regular passengers. The lady nodded, confused but respectful. A few minutes later, Alina left the comfort of luxury behind and walked to the main waiting hall. She looked around. Families with children, elderly people, students, tourists, people from all walks of life. No expensive perfume, no designer bags, just real people. She sat beside a young mother trying to calm her crying baby. Alina smiled kindly and offered to hold the bag while the woman rocked the baby. Thank you, the mother said, tired but grateful. Alina nodded. It's okay. Take your time. For the next hour, she helped two kids find their gate, shared snacks with a quiet old lady, and gave up her charger to a man whose phone had 1% left. Something inside her had awakened. The girl who once showed off now wanted to serve. The girl who once laughed now listened. Back in the VIP area, her friend checked social media and gasped. Alina's post is going viral. People were commenting. This is so real. Thank you for sharing this. Kindness really is everything. Zayn, sitting beside his father in the meeting room, also saw the post on his phone. He smiled quietly. She had changed. Not for him, not for attention, but for herself. Later that evening, as the boarding call began, Alina saw Zayn at the gate. He was helping an old airport cleaner lift a heavy bag. She walked up slowly. Zayn looked at her and smiled. Hey, he said simply. Hey, she replied. Guess what? I gave up my VIP seat today. He raised an eyebrow. Really? Yep, she nodded. Best choice I made all day. He smiled warmly. You're not the same girl I met this morning. She laughed gently. No, that girl is gone. He looked at her and said, Good. I like the new one better. They walked together toward the plane. Not as rich and poor, not as show-off and quiet boy, but as equals, walking the same path. Alina and Zayn walked together toward the boarding gate. For the first time, she didn't care who was watching. She didn't fix her hair. She didn't check if someone was taking pictures, because something deeper had grown inside her. Respect, understanding, peace. As they reached the entrance of the plane, Zayn stopped and looked at her. This is where we go separate ways, he said kindly. Alina nodded. Yes, but I'll never forget the path we walked today. Zayn smiled. Neither will I. The staff at the door greeted them politely. One of them whispered something to another, pointing slightly toward Zayn. People were starting to notice. Some recognized him now. Zayn didn't seem to care. But Alina noticed one thing. He still helped the old lady ahead of him with her bag before entering the plane. Even when people were watching, he didn't act bigger. Even when they whispered his name, he stayed humble. Alina walked down the aisle and reached her seat in economy. She sat next to a middle-aged woman and greeted her with a polite smile. Hello, she said softly. The woman nodded. Hello, dear. Alina felt good sitting there. No luxury, no gold seats, but everything felt real. She looked out the window and remembered the moment she called Zayn out of place. Now she knew the truth. He was never out of place. She was just looking from the wrong eyes. The plane began to move. Slowly, it reached the runway. As the engines roared, Alina closed her eyes for a moment and whispered, Thank you. She didn't know who she was saying it to. Maybe life, maybe fate, maybe the universe. But she meant it. A few hours later, the plane landed in another city. Passengers began getting up, taking bags, and walking out. As Alina stepped off the plane, she noticed Zayn standing near the airport exit. He wasn't waiting for her. He was helping a lost child find her parents. Again, quietly. Again, with kindness. When he saw Alina, he smiled. You again, he joked. She laughed. It's a small world. He walked beside her as they left the terminal. I guess this is goodbye, she said softly. Zayn nodded. Maybe. Or maybe it's the start of something. She looked at him. What do you mean? He pulled out a small notebook and handed it to her. It looked old. The pages were slightly worn. My mom used to write things she learned, he said. After she passed, I started writing mine. Alina opened the book slowly. On the first page it said, never judge someone by what they wear. Judge them by what they carry in their heart. Her eyes filled with tears. This is beautiful, she whispered. I want you to have it, Zayn said. Maybe you'll fill the next pages. Alina held the notebook close. I will. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Zayn said, no matter where life takes us, stay kind. Stay real. Alina smiled through her tears. I will. They shook hands, but it felt like something more. A connection, a promise. And then, he walked away. No bodyguards, no noise, just a quiet, kind boy with a powerful heart. Alina stood there for a few more moments, watching him disappear into the crowd. She knew she might never see him again, but she would carry his story forever. Months later, Alina's social media was different now. No more showing off. No more fake smiles. Just truth. Just heart. She started a series called Kindness Stories, where she shared real people's stories, real struggles, and simple acts of humanity. And on the cover of every video was a small handwritten line from Zayn's notebook. Kindness costs nothing, but it means everything. Her followers grew, not because of beauty or money, but because her words were honest, her stories were real, and her heart had changed. And somewhere, in another airport, Zayn continued to help quietly, learn silently, and make the world a little better, one kind act at a time.